Okay, then hello everyone. Let me officially start this session. So my name is Betty. I'm a volunteer here. So I want to firstly introduce to you what is ICSA. So we are the International Chinese Statistics Association. And then we have over like 6,000 active members. And for today, I want to introduce you the webinar that we have. So we have two bigger streams here. And for today's session, we will talk about the effective communication at work. So you may always wondering what biostatisticians do. And actually communication is a one big steps here. So that's why we want to gather around all these I would say fabulous panelists here today to share with you guys what we want to pay attention to when we communicate as a biostatistician. And besides that, we also have technical trainings that coming in November. And if you are looking interested in our past recordings, feel free to scan the QR code or go to our website. We also, if you also Google ICSA, you can also find our YouTube. So feel free to watch our past recording there as well. And then before we continue, I also want to acknowledge for all our community here and thank you for all your support. Oh, and then also for today's section, the first part about 15 minutes will be the panel discussion. And after that, we will have a Q&A section about 15 minutes. So feel free to save your question at the end, or you can type in the chat. And then Helena will be our host to continue to answer our questions. So now I'll pass the time to Helena to continue with data.
Thank you, Patty, for your very kind introduction. My name is Helena Fan. I'm the co-founder of the Lotus Group. We are the leading recruitment firm for biometrics professionals in the life science industry. We're very excited to partner with ICSA to launch this career series, and which is dedicated to enhance the soft skills of biostatisticians for their personal and career growth. So today's topic is effective communication, and we have three honored panelists. The first one is Dr. Ray Wang. She is Vice President and the Global Head of Biometrics at Survey. And Sammy shapes the company's data strategy, direction, and leads all the teams in quantitative medicine-driven drug development, data strategy, stewardship, biostatistics, programming, and medical writing, and innovation, including the AI and machine learning in drug development processes. Our second panelist is Dr. Xun Chen. She is a Vice President and Global Head of Biometrics at Sanofi. Dr. Xun oversees statistical strategy and execution in the full life cycle of drug development at Sanofi. She covers a variety of therapeutic areas. She has always been very passionate about promoting statistical leadership in the pharmaceutical industry to bring more effective treatment of patients to the market more efficiently. And the third panelist is Lei Wang, my dear colleague and partner for more than 20 years. And she is now a president and a managing partner at the Lotus Group. She was a statistical analyst before becoming a recruiter. With more than 20 years of recruiting experience in the biometrics field, she led the Lotus Group to become one of the 50 fastest growing woman-owned business in 2022, and continue to expand our company under her leadership. Thank you all for bringing us valuable insights about effective communication skills, which lots of people really cared about it. Let's get right into the first question. From your perspective, what is definition of effective communication, why it is a critical skill for biostatisticians?
Well, if Xun doesn't want to go ahead, I'm happy to. But before that, it's a very interesting. I just realized 2 out of the 3 panelists are from pharma, all French pharma. So maybe it's interesting we can get some French flavor here. But anyway, to me, effective communication is very important for decision making to make a bigger impact of influence. So basically, it's not just communicate of the logistic or technical problem in the detail. It's really talking about what exactly you're trying to convey the message of your ideas. Because we are all very strong technically as our background, but I found out often the problem is we're not able to, or maybe some are not able to communicate the idea clearly in order to get the influence out there. I think this is something definitely I hope all our background or technical background training or PhD or master regardless are able to break the wall and really talking about the big picture, what exactly we're trying to do, drug development, and then talk about the details, what's the how. So to me, a lot of times we go to the how directly, and then we go to why we're doing this. So it's a little bit backwards.
Thank you for sharing the insights.
Thank you, Sam, for getting started. I think you really give very good, sharing your insights about the effective communication. I think just being brief, effective communication, I think it's to be heard and to hear. So communication is deliver information message and to achieve outcome, the desired outcome. So if you want, with that goal to achieve an outcome, you want yourself to be heard. But for you to be heard, you need to hear others. So I think maybe that will help to set the tone of what effective communication should be like.
And as kind of outsider, I totally agree with Sammy and Xun. I think for effective communication, it's very important, like Xun said, to be in the other shoe, understand what people want to hear, because you guys are working with numbers, and your responsibility is to explain the numbers to people who don't understand it and make the numbers make sense. I think that's very important because most of your audience doesn't understand what you are doing. So you want to make sure your job is to explain it and then have the numbers have meanings.
That's great. What all of you 3 share is very instrumental in guiding our discussion further. So we talk about the effective communication. But on the opposite, can you also tell us some examples of ineffective communication or even miscommunication, that what is the possible consequence of ineffective communication and what the common pitfalls that lead to the miscommunication?
So maybe I can talk about some project related. I often found people have an obstacle is to be proactive communication on the project level. So we have been, it's more like a receptor, which I try to help many statisticians in my team for sure to change that kind of a direction. What do I mean proactive? Meaning there's a lot of timeline we're trying to deliver. A lot of project, different timeline. And sometimes cross-functional team might not know exactly what's the best way to analyze the data, or suddenly keep adding new thinking to analyze the data. If you are very receptive just to say, oh, I'm going to take this analysis, I'm going to produce for you. And again, I find out the timeline might gonna not miss the timeline. And actually a lot of things are nonsense. You're not supposed to do the analysis. What I'm trying to say, this is one example of a miscommunication or not effective communication, meaning you should be proactive to understand what the analysis purpose is. how you want to drive cross-functional team. They are satellites around you as a project statistician or even indication head to talk about the strategy to deliver or to have an impact on overall analysis. I'm talking about just one project perspective. Then define the best analysis plan to define the best way to cut off those ad hoc nonsense analysis and moving forward. What I have seen the pitfall is sometimes too many coming on. Everyone say yes to everything, and in the end was not able to deliver. And some of them are not supposed to be delivered. And in the end, maybe you will be on the spot, say, hey, statistics team, you guys are delayed XYZ time and on the critical pathway to everyone cross-functional. It doesn't look good. And actually, I think that's the problem. Not just cross-functional team has a problem. It's also the project statistician didn't do the best way of communication to make things smooth enough, to really coordinate and to make things more productive, effective. So hope on that project level, just a small example, all our project statisticians in different companies are definitely doing the best of our job beyond analyze data, beyond provide ideas, and also do a very well planned project management to help your subsequent team, including data management, including programming, have an easier and straightforward work life.
Yeah, maybe I add one. I think not good communication. The way I think most of us, this may apply to my current communication here, is about the audience. To have audience in your mind, who you are talking with. Frankly, I don't know who I'm talking with right now. Are we talking with people from academia or industry, junior statistician, senior statistician, manager or not? So I'm making actually quite a blind communication here and not necessarily being effective. So to have effective communication, really you need to know who you are talking with and what are the audience. They prefer the style of communication. Maybe the audience wants to have more details, or the audience you communicate want you just to go directly to the conclusion and don't want you to go too much in the details. I think that's maybe a blind spot to many of us from years time as a student. The way we communicate with professor is to go to detail. Right, and the way we answer questions, especially to the question we don't know the answer, what do? We just keep writing, right? Whatever. Maybe the professor will find some gem in our answers and give some credits to us. We did that, right? And the same worked, but it doesn't work at work. Usually, your manager, especially the higher level, the managers, the impatient they are. If you don't know and you're just making up and you think you're answering questions, you just keep talking. That's not communication. The other side's ear already shut off, right? And you're just creating a very bad image and not really deliver the information you want to deliver or to achieve your desired outcome. So I think to learn to have the audience in your mind, like I said, you want to be heard. You want to hear what the others want to hear. Maybe they are telling you from the words or the expression, or just know a little bit more about their style, the way of their communication. You should know how to cultivate your communication style to that audience. So have audience in your mind. I think that's I think one key for effective communication.
So maybe Lei, before you jump in, I just want to add a point, because this is a very good point to maybe dig a bit more. So recently, and I had a very interesting communication with a board member. So I have to present to the board suddenly, asked me to do, and I only have 8 minutes, including 3 minutes Q&A, with a huge project I was driving for Gen AI within my medical writing team, plus the technical DDIS, which means all the IT team all together. So I'm the presenting. And then I was putting like 20 slides, so excited to share this communication with them, because board member, right, with all the highlights, everyone say you is there. So I was so excited. And then I was like, 8 minutes, that's impossible. I timed myself again, that's impossible. So I have to cut it down. So eventually what I left over there, it's not about the project detail, what we did. Of course, a little bit. Most important is how much time you're going to save. What's the money going to save? How cost efficient? What's the impact influence in the next 5 years of roadmap? Then, of course, talk a little bit about our plan, have done already, what's the effort, and who are the contributor. And they got it right away. They understand what GenAI is going to help on drafting of all the documentation in submission, everything. So they get it, be done. But then we have another communication in another panel within a lower level management level. That's 20 minutes. I give it to my team. They present it. They use 30 minutes, same story, but much more technical details because people truly want to know on that level what exactly you guys did, made the draft so automatic. What exactly is technical background? So truly it's about audience, how much time you have, what they want to know. Otherwise, you're making yourself busy for nothing. And people don't get the idea, and you don't get your message clearly across the board. So sorry, I will take some time because I think that's very good example. Totally same contents, but two different audience. How are you going to play around this and make it the best, most efficient? Lei, sorry if I jump into your time.
No, it's great. Because I'm a recruiter, I can say I can talk about the interviews. There are good interviews, bad interviews. Actually, when it's a good interview, that means it's effective communication. And when it's a bad interview, it's actually just ineffective communication because everybody is technical, right? When you interview for a statistician position. So how do you do a good interview? I think it's very, very important to know the questions, the interviewer's questions, and your answer. You want the answer to the point, to what the interviewer really wants to hear. And there, for one question, you have like 30 minutes for an interview, and you cannot give all your life story to the interviewer, and you want to have priorities. You want to share the things that the interviewer wants to hear. You can, for one question, if you share every single thing you can never finish the interview, right? And the interviewer wouldn't want to spend the whole time to just listen to to ask just one question. So it's very important that you want to focus on the things they are interested in hearing, and with bullet points, and then wait for the interviewer to ask more detailed questions, then you can share more. I think that otherwise it won't be effective.
Yeah. Actually, one of my mentor told me, have you guys ever thought about just use 3 sentences within 30 seconds to introduce yourself if you happen to have elevator pitch with a big head somewhere? So I think people should practice. I tried that. I think, oh, that's interesting. I haven't thought about it. But it's not easy. There are so many things you want to introduce yourself. Suddenly, if you have opportunity to talk to someone, how do you summarize yourself? What's the things you want to highlight? I would highly suggest whoever are in the audience, maybe students or maybe our peers, try that. Just 3-4 sentences, summarize yourself, and people got it right away. And sometimes the mentor told me, actually, it's not about you have to complete exactly what Lei said your whole life. It's you get interest for people to ask you questions. You get a chance to have a second conversation.
Yeah, I think it's always, no matter what kind of in either interview or any sort of a communication, I think the key is it needs to be a two-way street. Otherwise, one side won't be happy.
Yeah.
It has to be a conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for sharing the stories and the comments, which help us understand better of effective communication. I have a question I was going to ask later on, but since Sammy mentioned that, like, as a statistician, you always get lots of requests from different cross-functional team, right? And how to address their need. My question is, sometimes the requests may be unnecessary or not unimportant. How to say no to them, but still keep a good relationship and not hurting the relationship?
That's actually a very difficult skill set. Some people task it very nicely. Some people naturally feel so bad to, I just don't want to say no, then just keep getting it. Or they say soft no, eventually meaning yes, and they still being pushed to that corner. We actually had, in my team, I give many trainings. I really spend the budget for the people for career development for them. So there's a called courageous communication. I put a lot of budget for my team leadership level and also the middle management level for them to took courageous communication, which means one of the important part of section is about say no. I think the training I don't know whether it works for everyone, but at least from them, what they told the trainee is first acknowledge the common ground. You say this is very interesting things you guys suggest, blah blah blah. Then there's 3 steps. Step 1, acknowledgement. Step 2, say no. But this due to timeline or due to resources or due to other prioritization, it's not gonna happen. Just say it directly. On the third, provide alternative. That's what I remember from the training. Very fixated 3 steps, but you don't have to use that. It doesn't work for you, maybe. I personally don't do that. I pretty much say no. So, but it doesn't work for everyone's style. I would say no because I have very good relationship with most of the cross-functional team. They know when I say no, truly meaning no, truly meaning I cannot do it. But you can try those 3 steps: acknowledgement, say no directly, then provide alternative to say, hey, when after this is finished, we discussed about this, or maybe another team, or maybe different timeline we can do. So find a common ground in the end. Well, just some of my opinion and the things I received to share with everyone.
That's great.
Yeah, I think just very similar to what Sammy just shared. First of all, I think to have the courage to say no, it's already halfway to the success. To never say no, you may be perceived as collaborative, right? That's the best way to say it. In the by the way, maybe you don't have your independent thinking or you're not be able to thinking critically. So I think to say no is actually quite important to stand out. But to skillfully deliver no, that's definitely, I think, just keep learning it. Never fail. It's enough. On the 3 points that these 3 steps Sammy shared, I think most important what I have learned is the alternative solution. Really emphasize the alternative solution. Maybe weaken the low part, right? I strongly disagree, and why I disagree, which is important, but don't take too long to talk about that because people already have that impression you're just rejecting me. You're just saying no, whatever reasons you're providing. Maybe it's a good way to come up with alternative solution first, just like how you turn down an invitation, right? You say, no, I cannot come because I have other appointment or conflict arrangement. No matter how nice you say it, you are rejecting. But if you end up or start with, how about we meet another time, right? Or a better place you like, a more convenient time for both of us. I think that will help pass no to a solution. So the focus is not no, is that we're going to find a way work for both of us to solve the problem. So I think it's good to quickly move to alternative solution. So you said the tone is, I really want to solve the problem, no matter your problem, my problem, our problem, right? I know there is a need, but how about we address it in different way, at different time, at different methods. I think that is a way. I know Sammy maybe choose to go more straightforward, and I found depend on your level, right, and depend on your relationship with the the other side, the other parties, but the alternative solution is at the end help you to conclude the no in a positive way.
That's great. Thank you, Xun. And I think your analogy is very interesting and also give us example to communicate in a way people can understand. So before I move forward for the next question.
Can I add something?
Oh, sorry. Yes, sure.
Yeah, because I feel I learned how to say no by dealing with my daughter. And I think actually the relationship in the family, you learn a lot and then you can use it for work as well. I think if I just give a hard no, sometimes it's hard for her to accept. However, when I explain my logic, why I said no, it's easier for her to accept it because she understands why I made that decision. The other thing quickly I want to add is everybody, most of the time, it's not a hard no. Everybody needs to learn how to compromise. Besides, you can share other alternatives and maybe give couple options which you can still accept, although it's not 100% of what you want, but at least the two sides can compromise a little bit to reach a solution both sides can accept. So I think in our daily life, for work, for personal relationship, it's very important to learn how to compromise.
Yeah. Helena, I just want to add some point here because I just realized we talk about how to say no. We didn't dig in more or peel the onion why we should say no. Because maybe some audiences, especially junior member, feel like, why do we need to always say no? If it's easier, we don't say no. Let's just accept this time and keep doing it. I can assure you, if you don't say no when it's necessary, you have to judge, of course, with your manager and with your upper management. I have seen many pitfalls happen because people don't say no. For example, there's one project they feel they can just do this. It's even a little bit outside of their scope of work. Very simple example, I have a medical writing team, globally clinical, but I don't do non-clinical medical writing. That's huge reports. Toxicity reports for one compound could be 40 reports. But maybe one project, this lady or this person, oh, that's easy, I can do it for them. Then another project, they haven't thought the other project lead or medical writer are not able to do it or not have bandwidth to do it. For that cases, people will start complaining. You did for XYZ project, why can't you do this? And suddenly that project is 40 reports within like a week or 2 weeks, you have to finish. You're going to be in a very awkward situation. So think about the bigger picture of the whole system, the machine to run for the departmental level and for all cross-functional level within the team. That's not going to work. Even within yourself, maybe you didn't say no, this time it finished. And next time the timeline or the way of analysis was totally wrong or not perfect, you still accept it. And next time the people just keep pushing you to the corner. I just want to explain a bit why. That's it. That's exactly at the beginning I said, we shouldn't only talk about how. We come with why we do this, and we goes to how we do this. I think that should be the best order to think about the problem solving.
Sammy, thank you for that. You addressed a very important question. And before I move forward, I'm not sure if Betty mentioned at the beginning for the format, we actually have usually have 45 minutes discussion, and we'll have a 15 minutes Q&A session. Because today we have 3 panelists, and this is a topic that lots of people really care about. So we may last a bit longer for discussion. If you have any questions as audience, you can write your question in the Q&A session, write questions that we will answer at the end of this meeting. So we'll move on with the next question. So what are the common communication challenges the biostatisticians are facing, especially us like non-native speakers? What might be the root cause for those challenges, and what is your advice to overcome the challenges?
So maybe I gotta take first, Sammy. Otherwise, I was always taking one take.
Sure.
So I will take one here. I think language is definitely a barrier, right? You know, if we could speak as a native language, maybe we can communicate at ease. But I think itself, to speak perfect English itself does not mean to automatically have effective communication. It's still two different things. So though we are not speaking our the native language, I think we still can manage communication effectively. You just don't have a chance to use fancier words, but you can deliver the message clearly. And maybe that's an advantage because we cannot speak too fancy words. Maybe we choose to speak more concise. And that's really a great method of effective communication, to speak concise. I think after all, one I will add on here, for biostatistician to have effective communication, or where we fail to communicate more effectively, I think Sammy also mentioned that we tend to give very technical communication. We focus very much on the technical aspects. We just used to facing professor, you know, our audience in professor for a long time, and we are trying to give a best presentation or best communication to a professor. And we forget, you know, they maybe people have no statistical background, that have no interest to those technical details, but more on the impact in the consequence, and what does it mean for them, and what does it mean for the business. So to deliver that related message needs us to acquire big picture. So what's a big business picture? That's why I say you need to hear others. So what are the other sides? What matter to them? What matter to the bigger, you know, organization that we are working together? What matter for the company? So that big picture will assist you to deliver your message more effectively.
So while Xun was talking, I just realized a very also interesting example just happened recently. So I invited LGWA to my team to do some presentation and also subgroup communication within different methodology group in my team, LGWA from Harvard professor. And I think it's very interesting. I noticed a culture difference also. I have a French team and US team and APAC team. So when all the US team members as PhD students and graduated, right, as PhD background, statistics, very deep, knowledgeable. And when they present simulators, they are all good presenter with my help over the years. But when the French one presented, LG said, "Wow, are you medical?" That was a very good compliment, because the lady from the French side of the head, she's master degree. She has been in the industry for maybe 20 years. Very nice presented, not just the technical details of the methodology, what the problem they're solving. It's really coming along with all the background of the medical information about this compound. What's the problem we're trying to solve? So I do see a little bit cultural difference, regardless are both second language as English. I was encouraging all of them, listen and try to learn the same way. You really need to know all language. Not talking about language, English or Chinese. I'm talking about language, about your domain language. We have a domain language as statistician, but that's just one very small piece in the whole drug development. You need to know the domain language for PK. You need to know the domain language for chemistry, molecule, drug development, including clinical development overall. So I would highly suggest, if you're a junior and students, you continue to learn different kind of domain language. That would really help your communication much better, regardless your first, second language speaker on English or not. Because that's an example. They are both not English speaking as the first language, but when you present it, people feel the difference. What's the difference? Because they gather more domain language. So to me, this is very important to learn other side of language when you work cross-functionally. What's the regulatory background they're thinking? What's clinical or thinking? When you can speak similar language, your statistic idea is much easier, simpler for them to understand, and they will follow along with the suggestion you are giving. So just to add on what Xun you were saying, because that's very simple example about language barrier and actually truly about knowledge base, how you present yourself.
Yeah, I thank you both, and I want to add a little bit more. I totally agree. Communication, it's not really about the native language you speak. You can speak perfect Chinese, but it doesn't mean you are a good communicator in Chinese. It's really about how you communicate, the logic behind it. That's the logic, I think, is very important. And I think a lot of times what stopped a good statistician to be great, I think many of us are afraid to speak because it's a second language. But I think the great thing is in our environment, a lot of people are not native speaker. So you got your degree in master degree, PhD, so you are good enough to speak. So just really forget about if you are using the exact word, if you are using a fancy word. As long as you can express yourself with regular English, I think that's good enough to start. Just more focus on how you organize your logic and express it out to other people.
That's great. Oh, thank you for your perspective on this issue, and it gives us a lot to think about and reflect on. So my next question is, especially for Dr. Xun Chen and Tammy on this issue, is as a leader of biometrics team, can you share your experience where effective communication played a key role in boosting the influence and recognition of biometrics and biometrics team and secured support from cross-functional team? I heard Sammy is very good at this. So that's why
No. I think I need to be humble. No, I do think communication is very important of promoting your team's influence to the upper management, because a lot of people were saying we don't have enough resources to do this and that. But I think it's a positive loop. If you as a leader, it's your responsibility to promote your team, because they have a lot of beautiful work. If they're not being known, they're not going to get more resources, more bandwidth, or more potential other budget to do the things they want to do, and feedback to the loop of the circle to contribute, make it even a bigger influence. I do think that's definitely something I paid more attention to help my team, regardless which company I was previously, to elevate their influence to be visible. I think this is very important. You have to make sure their work is visible to the cross-functional team, so they would have more possibility to make a better work in the future. Otherwise, it's just a pity. You have 100% effort, but you only being seen 30%, 40%. I think it's a default or problem for the leader, not just the team per se. I think the first person should be thinking is, as a leader, did I provide the right environment, direction, or possibility for my team? Of course, I also train my team work together to find opportunity for them to shine. As I mentioned, there is a different initiative I did, innovation. I did even open a different forum for innovation days with statistics to present cross-functionally. I did a statistic one-on-one meeting with commercial teams. So create opportunity for them to shine. And back to what Lei was saying, I was going to say the same. Originally, maybe team members are more technical. They don't feel a need, or they are not confident enough, depends on the individual capability. But the more opportunity you present it to them as a whole team, add everyone together, the percentage together, it's a very strong team, because they are so smart. Everyone is so smart with our background. The most important is how we show people we're smart.
Yeah, I think that's very good experience sharing. I don't know as I said, the audience. So what kind of effective training are most needed for the audience? I think Sammy is sharing more from a senior management perspective, how she make more effective communication to help the team to be more visible and help the team to have bigger room to grow and to lead. So if it's more about your individual career development, and mostly effective communication, it's not one single talk or one conversation you are to have. It's more a relationship you are cultivating. I'm reading one question here from anonymous attendee. I don't know how the audience define relationship here. Here I'm not talking about personal relationship. I'm talking about a business relationship. This, although we cannot separate this, completely, but when talking about business relationship, here I think, the way if your partner, your clinical partner, interpret you as don't want to produce or don't produce the TOFs, I think that interpretation is already, either misinterpreted or you miscommunicated your intention. That's why I say it's not to do it, but you may need to do it in different way or do it in a different time. So the way you communicate is not to damage your business relationship, that this person does not have trust on you, that you will support him or her in the business needs, that you don't put his needs as important as others. So I think effective communication is to cultivate this business trust and a business relationship. And it's not one single time. To you, I don't think, a good business relationship can be ruined by just one single time you say no. You can make up, right? There's different way to make up or to make your communication more clear. What does the no mean? I'll give just a very brief example. We have project statistics in this situation is also, turn down the requests. It could be very unreasonable requests from the clinical team. But the way they describe the situation or say no, lead to the escalation to the department head, say, you don't have enough resource. Right, you should give more resource to the team with such an important project. But the point is not we don't have time, we don't have resource to do it, but we have other things can answer. Hey, we can do alternatively in easy way to answer this person's question. So I think how to say no is definitely the point here. Okay, so stop here. Maybe I already deviated from the original question.
That's okay. That's okay. Because we may have a mix of audience from different level, from junior to higher level director, or people who may be interested in taking a leadership role in the future. So I'm trying to cover the questions. I know it's challenging. We're trying to cover all the questions that for different people, so they can all learn from it. Even audience when they're not at the leadership level now, even your answer today may help them, for the future development. So, Lei, do you want to make any comments on this, or?
I'm good.
May I add something? Sorry,
of course.
I really want to just help. My true motivation is to help everyone, because as a community, if we're all strong, we're a very strong community together. So one thing I thought about, I chatted with my team many times. I encourage them to rotate to other things. I do think diversity profile is very important, meaning you shouldn't just be statistics. I encourage many of my team members, if you want to become an asset leader, if you want to become a clean farm, whatever you are interested, I personally think asset leader is a very good role. I don't know how many people know asset leader. For people who don't know, asset leader means you in charge of the whole program of the compound for drug development from beginning to almost the launch, before launch, or maybe you could be a launch leader, which is more commercial. Let's say clinical development, the asset leader, you have all the cross-functional team around you and you're in the leadership role to leading all of them. I encourage many of my members, if I see a potential, I say, go for that role. I'm good friends with as leader head. If you want to take a rotation program, half year, 1 year, go for it. Because I do think eventually, of course, you can decide to stay there or you can come back for stats. But after that rotation, I do see people are much more better than communication, the language, regardless their background. They rotated other function there. I rarely see statistician do that. I would highly suggest if you're on the level, you are still able to jump. My world is ending too early. I might not be to jump to as a leader anymore. But if I had a chance, I would like to do that because you will touch on so many things, so many aspects for drug development, and you will gain much more domain language and knowledge to be able to effectively communicate when you are in a statistician role or in any other role you wanted. To me, you shouldn't restrict yourself. If you are a statistician to begin with, you want to always just do a statistician. It depends on what your goal. Your goal could be just for drug development. So thinking outside the box a little bit more. And if your management is supportive with you, you should ask for other opportunity, have a rotation program or mission half year or something like that. I would highly suggest, and I do think people have done that, is become much better persuasive and strong communicator.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I understand other people's perspective can help us communicate better.
Yes, yes. And I think, thanks to Sammy to add on that, I think as you mentioned, to elevate the influence of biostatistics is not only the mission for the head of the leaders, but also for the whole community, right, as a statistician to work on. And you also give some insights on how to help your team to develop communication skills, which I was going to ask you, but that's great. You cover some of that. So regarding the role of effective communication skills in the career growth, can you share some of your personal stories or experience? How has it helped you with your career development to become who you are today?
I think we've sort of answered this question on the way. I think it's not a single communication or one sudden successful communication that made you to go a long way step by step in success. I think it's through this communication you being able to build up this relationship. Right, and it's rounds of communication. Maybe this time the communication is not very successful, not very smooth, but you have chance to do more, right? You can have chance to come back. So to cultivate that relationship of trust and support. So I think the way to have effective communication on the way back to, I think pretty much what we have shared is how to speak others' language, right? So if you want to speak others' language, you really need to broaden your knowledge and to say the bigger picture of the needs and the imperative from different aspects. Like, very commonly statistician encounter is just a request, and whether to address this request, to what extent, in what, timeline. And, really to say a bigger picture will help us to make that, response or recommendation in a more mutually, constructive way. So
I have to
you have magic wand here.
No. I think my other interesting different perspective to add on is my personally difference, or I feel really helped me, is I'm always curious. I'm a very energetic person. Maybe some of my friends on the line knows, and I also always very curious. Open a big door for me because I just want to know why you do this, why you do that. So it never prevented me, regardless of confidence level. I just want to know. So I do think fundamentally, if you always have a huge curiosity person, you want to know what the other people are doing. You will gain those language, those knowledge gradually, little by little, then you will go to the route you wanted. So curious, open the door for yourself with no limitation. This is more than just communication, but part of the communication will get along on that. So to me, fundamental, if you are energetic, curious, you don't have to be the same personality like me, but I highly suggest my team member be curious on everything. If you're curious, you will get the knowledge and you are easier to communicate with people who do not know your language, because you gain the same thing very easily with people connection. And second of all, also back to what you guys are doing today. So Lei and Helena and Astrid, we are contributing back to the community. So have a big heart, really help the community to grow together. When I was junior members and I was like energetic, go to different community to help so many initiatives. At the beginning of this conference or this seminar, there was a young lady was introducing herself to us, Becky. I remember you now, Becky. You introduced yourself very nicely. You're a student and you want to know your master level. I think that's good. You are still junior, but you open up the door. You contribute to the community. Beyond contributing, you're learning. You're connecting with more people. I learned that to myself too. I did many initiatives. I founded a Dashu organization, nonprofit. I think I did a lot. People wondering how I get that energy, but I'm curious. Back to the first answer. So you would have the energy back into it. Then you learn those skill set of communication, organizing people, organizing community, organizing the structure. Those will come along all together. So the second point, what I'm emphasizing, if you're students, you're junior, contribute to this community, regardless it's ICSA, DASHU, or ASA, whatever, just be part of it. You will learn a lot from everyone else, and you also help the community to be strong together.
Very good. I think that's also to create more opportunities for yourself to communicate, right? Yeah, the more communications are needed to deliver the message, to achieve whatever desired outcome. So you'll be tested in different situations. And while you contribute to the community, you're also growing yourself. If one last point for successful communication to build up this relationship, I think Sammy mentioned at the very beginning, is being very proactive. So proactively anticipate the issues, proactively anticipate the anticipations. So I think this is one thing, how to interpret the deadline, right? As students, as lifetime students, most of us, deadline means the last second before the due time, right? 12 a.m. Friday. So as long as we submit our work 11:59 p.m., we are good. We get the full credit. And the professor actually don't care whether you submit early. Be aware this is very different at work. Your co-workers, your boss may be anxiously waiting for your response before they agree the due date. You didn't do anything wrong, but you miss many opportunities to communicate and to manage the expectation. So that proactivity is very important to manage the expectation, to engage the support. If you go into a meeting, you anticipate some pushback. If the idea is the first time for the audience to hear, you didn't do good enough preparation. You really need to proactively build up this network, the connection, the support. So to many people, when they hear your idea, it's not the first time. You already engaged in some important support to achieve the desired outcome. So that's a lot, but I think to proactive your proactivity, to anticipate the audience's expectation, and really, I think to talk in others' language. I think that's the very important starting point for effective communication.
Thank you, Xun. And also, can you elaborate a little bit on what's your advice on how to develop this kind of skills in daily work as a biostatistician? I think we discuss a little bit before this meeting, like how should they do, especially for junior level statisticians?
I would just keep practice, right? Being a conscious communicator. So you're not just in say something. You're not just in putting words together. And like I said, I just keep saying, and you think you fulfilled. No, you really need to reflect. I do, have some major communications after it, have a good reflection. What I wanted to say. Did I say it clearly? Was it heard? What the audience, what the management want to hear from me? Did they hear me well? And did I say something they want to hear as well? Did I get what I want to get? So if I can do it again, how to do it? And like the test Sammy mentioned, sometimes you just need to challenge yourself. If I have shorter time, how I'm going to say it. If I just have 1 minute, how I'm going to say it. Practice, I think, maybe there is some genius communicator, someone, with better gifts. But I think, just how we achieved today, everyone, is practice. Just keep practicing.
Yeah, I totally agree with Jun. You have to be conscious. You want to be a good communicator. But on the action specific, I told my team, a bit pushy, but I told my team, I want everyone ask a question because there are project level team, there are leadership level team and different team. I actually observe who is speaking up, who is not speaking up in my team. Of course, I say nicely during the one-on-one. Why haven't you say anything during this last 3 series, etc.? They know I'm there. They kind of feel they need to start speaking up. But after a year, 2 years, I found out all those leaders I trained together, grew hugely on communication. They're so confident. They were like telling me, oh, I wasn't thinking I should speak up. I feel like I just have so much to say. So I was very happy when I heard those comments when we were discussing one-on-one together. Was yeah, it's not that hard. You just need to push yourself for the first step and ask yourself. So for example, people don't know what's the action or specifics. I would suggest maybe in the meeting, every meeting you go, you just push yourself, say, I need to say something. There's no stupid question. Okay. At the beginning, maybe, I don't know, but eventually it won't be. So be confident, have a high tolerance level, and dare to ask question is number 1 step. And eventually you will find out it's actually very easy and you cannot hold yourself. You just want to keep talk about your suggestion in a way, but of course, be open your ears, not just took all the time from others.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think start with like each meeting, at least you give yourself a goal to speak at least 1 time.
That's great. Thank you for all for your input. I have more questions, but we're reaching our time limit. Let's give the time to the audience to answer some of their questions. Let me take a look at the Q&A. There's a question. I'm not sure she answered this question. This is a
I just briefly mentioned that the concern from the audience.
It was that from if somebody get angry, how to fix it? You received that. Sorry, you addressed that question, right?
Partially, yeah, but maybe there are some tips Sammy can offer as well.
Which question are you guys on? I'm just still
reading.
The
first Q&A. There's first questions.
Okay.
Said after we say no, if the other person is angry and hurt the relationship, how do we fix it?
If that's the situation, I think you should have offline discussion with your manager's help. If you go to that level already, I would suggest, because your manager maybe have a better relationship to smooth it out and find a common ground. Shouldn't be you anymore if it's because supposed to be professional. If someone is not professional, be angry. I think you should ask for help, support already at that moment to really find someone neutral to maybe calm the other side down. That would be my suggestion on that spot.
Okay. That's great. The second question is, thanks for the great conversation, how to communicate, and build trust with colleague working remotely.
Yeah, that's a very good one, because I think it's the number one you should do. I have a global team. I have people in Germany and in France, in APAC, and also in US, different location. And we're a hybrid model. So especially in the US, we're a totally hybrid model. What I try to do is I create a coffee break on the leadership perspective, right? I create coffee break, virtual things, forum for people to connect. On your individual level, I would suggest the same. It's no difference. You should just virtually have a one-on-one, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, or whatever right frequency it is to connect with people. Of course, it happen you go to the site, has a conversation, for sure to meet that person you're supposed to meet, have a coffee break or have a lunch together. So I don't think there's a difference. They actually easily connect together and really share information of yourself on project level to keep updates from time to time. Or even if you are friends already, personal level is up to you also. Just to consider that's another professional friends you are having. As I mentioned, be curious about them and they'll be curious about you. I think relationship will be very natural. That's another thing, back to the language thing I forgot to mention, is I have keep thinking is, let alone language, there's a culture difference. If we are, not born, raised in United States or in this culture, there might be a difference in culture for sure. But I have many, many friends are not with the same culture. I really embrace curiosity, embrace different diversity. So I think you should do the same. When you open it up yourself, open your arms, you will feel the hug from other side too. So embrace that.
Yeah, embrace that. And value the difference. I think it's very helpful to have this type of difference and diversity in your organization, in your team. So, a college that you don't necessarily think the same. If you have interest, you can definitely know better, know deeper about the culture of, the cultural background of the colleagues that you are working with. That will help you to understand or to communicate better. But to start with, don't think it's abnormal or something wrong. People are different from you, we are different from others. I think difference is normal.
That's great. That next question is just to want to follow up, Dr. Tang. If possible, could you also share good material and chance to accumulate languages from other domains in clinical trials and drug development?
I kind of mentioned, right? You ask for opportunity to go rotation program. There are books you can read. I read many women leadership books because I'm interested. You can open yourself, and there are some coach you can ask for from your management. I give my first level leadership all executive coaching, quite some budget I'm spending, but I do think it's worth it. I think it's really helped my leadership be much stronger communicator, much broader view of everything, and they enjoyed it. And under the different level, I give them, like I already mentioned, curious communicator or some other leadership skill set, specifically curate for different people. And there are books, and even on my hand, I have a book, Suddenly in Charge. I didn't read it, but people keep sending me books for fun. And this is one of the bookseller, and she's quite famous, have a 250,000 followers on LinkedIn. She really enjoyed conversation with me, and she sent me books about like communication up and down, which I think I'm already okay, but it's not bad to receive a free book. So there are different materials you can go ahead to ask for or to search for. What I'm suggesting is work with your management, gather opportunity to be coached. Of course, talk to people who are coach on your personal network, or read books. They are very interesting. I listened to audible book while I was driving just for fun. I do think I enjoy that. Open my mindset much better.
Yeah, and I think maybe I add just immediate start when you read your study protocol, whether you only read the statistical section or you read the background, the biology science part, the operation side, the operational details, the procedures, the data management process, and the regulatory concern, etc., and safety analysis. I think definitely go beyond the statistical section and go deeper in other relevant, sections. It's very easy. So just know the project deeper and broader. that's an immediate start.
That's great to know. And also I want to share from the two statisticians, two panelists in last seminar, which both of them at associate director level. One is in a big company, one is a medium-sized company, but both of them schedule regular meetings with cross-functional team members. So that also I think helps to learn, gain the knowledge and understanding and accumulate the domain language. And the next question is how to overcome the nervousness during the communication.
I mean, I kind of answered that already about confidence level, right? Really open up yourself. But I do learn something, which is also from an EMBA class at MIT, just for this audience per se on specifics. I think usually I'm fine because I really don't care. So I think if you don't care about whether people like you or not on audience, you will be easier, more confident. So it's really about what you are trying to communicate. But people sometimes care too much about audience feedback. And then the thing, you become nervous. So if you don't strike that, then another way I can help you is more physically. I have a professor, very interesting. He is a famous for public communication. He told us, go to public presentation, just do some exercise, jump up and down, pump your heart up. So you refresh yourself and even open up your arms and relax your legs. And people were just doing that during the class. And then later on, they found out they feel less rigid on the public speaking. It might help you. I don't know. It didn't help me because I really just don't care. I just go up and speak. But some people, it does help. This is another physical technique. If you want to try before you go to public speaking, really relax your whole muscle and your mind and calm it down in a way, but open up your heart rate. They did the research. This is going to work. So you can feel free to try. I do have kind of hard stop pretty soon. So I want to help to answer job seeker who is significantly older than my peer. I think this is a really good question because to me, I really love diversity. I think this should not be major. It should not even be an impact, not major impact. So regardless your age, your gender, your background, your culture, as long as you're a talent, you have a potential, or you want to work together, I'm always thinking that's it, nothing else. So I really like the question, just to be very open on my opinion.
Yeah.
Last question, I think. Last question is how do you work with team members who has big egos?
I would say we all have some egos, so it's okay to have big egos, right? So I will try to bypass that point, this person have big ego or not, but to focus on what he or she is doing or try to do, and whether that's good for the project, to the business or not, or from my organization's perspective, what does that mean for this organization or for the goal we are to achieve. So I assess from there, not whether this is driven by an ego or not, or big ego or not. Let's neglect that because we could have been seen as big ego from others' eyes as well. But more focus on the behavior itself and the consequence of this behavior, or the intention part neglected. I try to neglect. Assume good intention.
Yeah, I think no matter who we are talking to, we show the respect, no matter they have a big ego or not. But of course, Ashun is right. Everybody has some sort of egos. But from ourselves, we should treat everybody with respect without thinking, oh, for this person, I will show more respect or less respect.
I'm actually okay if they have a big ego. So to me, I think everyone is different. There are team members are more laid back, just want to finish what they are assigned. They never want to be a manager. They want to be a great single contributor. They want to be a great expertise leader. I think we should just sit down, talk to them. What's their aspiration in 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, different plan. If someone truly have a big ego, try to see whether you can help them grow with their capability to match their ego, rather than unbalanced, unmatched. That'll be a problem. As long as matching and you are able to create opportunity for this person, either within your organization or outside your organization, it doesn't matter. It's helping the team, help the team member, whoever work with you for 1 year, 3 year, 10 year, for them to grow. Then I'm happy to help for them to grow to their better future. So, but make sure the ego and the capabilities matching. You need to help them to realize that and help them as a mentor or as a coach or as a friend, as a peer, to help them. I think if with that kind of mindset, it's fine. The world is with no limit. However you want to fly, as long as I can help, go for it.
Great. Thank you so very much
Okay.
for your insights. And I guess we're really using up our time for today. And I want to thank you all for attending today's event, and the audience, your presence and engagement really make it very special. And many thanks for the incredible panelists and to our dedicated volunteers, and to everyone who helps make this success event. Also want to mention organizations who help us to promote this event, like BBSW and Dashu. We won't get it done without your help. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
guys
may I
so much.
also
Thank
may I
you.
also
Thank you for
follow up?
that.
Feel free to see the website if you want to see the past recordings, and I sending it in the chat. Feel free to click it and explore yourself. And then also, once I close the webinar, you may be able to solve a survey. Please help us do the survey so you can better our services for you. Thank you. And then yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Have
everyone.
a nice
Thank you so
weekend.
much.
Bye.
Bye.